You're watching HNNCast with Space Rogue on the Hacker News Network.
HNNCast is sponsored by Immunity Incorporated. Knowing you're secure. Become a sponsor. Email sales@hackernews.com.
This is Space Rogue for the Hacker News Network, and this is HNNCast for the second week of November 2009. This week we have stories covering skimming busts in Romania, indictments handed down for the RBS attackers, and free coffee. But first, our top story. Last weekend, CBS aired an episode of 60 Minutes entitled Sabotaging the System. The story was supposed to be about cyber war, but in pure 60 Minutes fashion, they rambled all over the place, from compromised computer chips made in China to tricking ATMs to spitting out mounds of cash, totally missing the recent and much more devastating money mule angle. But they also made a fantastic claim that Brazil had suffered not one, but two major blackouts as a result of a cyber attack. First, they cited a speech given by President Obama.
It's now clear this cyber threat is one of the most serious economic and national security challenges we face as a nation.
4 months after taking office, President Obama made those concerns part of our national defense policy, declaring the country's digital infrastructure a strategic asset and confirming that cyber warfare had moved beyond theory.
We know that cyber intruders have probed our electrical grid, and that in other countries, cyber attacks have plunged entire cities into darkness.
Then they claimed that they verified this with several prominent intelligence sources.
President Obama didn't say which country had been plunged into darkness, but a half a dozen sources in the military, intelligence, and private security communities have told us the president was referring to Brazil. Several prominent intelligence sources confirmed that there were a series of cyber attacks in Brazil, one north of Rio de Janeiro in January of 2005 that affected 3 cities and tens of thousands of people, and another much larger event beginning on September 26, 2007. That one, in the state of Espírito Santo, affected more than 3 million people in dozens of cities over a 2-day period, causing major disruptions.
Of course, if true, it would be the first publicly documented successful major cyber attack on the critical infrastructure of any country. Not to mention how it makes Brazil look. The local energy company, Furnas Centrais Elétricas, of course quickly denied any such cyber intrusion and blamed the blackouts on high-voltage insulators covered with soot deposits from locally burning fields. So who are you supposed to believe? The half dozen intelligence analysts cited but not named by 60 Minutes, who might be out of a job if there was no cyber threat? Or an electrical company who probably has shareholder interest to protect? Oh, but this story isn't over yet. 2 days after the 60 Minutes story aired, Brazil suffered another blackout. Was it the cyber attackers proving what they could do? Or was it, as the power company says, damage from a major thunderstorm? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. But considering the FUD that has come out of 60 Minutes lately, not to mention the Homeland Security, my money's on Furnas Centrais Elétricas. In 23 separate coordinated raids, Romanian police have arrested 19 members of an alleged international ring of bank card skimmers that have been active in France, Italy, Switzerland, and the US. Police had the gang under surveillance for at least 9 months and moved in when they found a package containing numerous circuits used for building handheld skimmers. 4 men have been indicted in Georgia on charges that they electronically broke into the Atlanta-based bank card processing company RBS WorldPay back in November 2008 and siphoned off $9.5 million in a matter of hours. The group allegedly reverse-engineered PIN numbers of payroll debit cards and then raised the funds available limit on the cards in some cases to $500,000. The men from Russia, Moldova, and Estonia dispatched cashiers in 280 cities worldwide to withdraw money from over 2,000 ATMs in under 12 hours and then wire the money back to them. One of the men is currently under arrest in Estonia, awaiting extradition. The status of 2 others is unknown, and the last is simply listed as Hacker 3 in the indictment. COFEE, or Computer Online Forensic Evidence Extractor, a Microsoft application only available to law enforcement agencies, was accidentally leaked to BitTorrent sites around the world this past week. In addition, a user guide was seen posted to Cryptome. COFEE is designed to run directly from a USB drive on a live system and to bypass any security installed on the system to extract evidence. However, it appears that this version of COFEE was not complete, as it only contains 45 commands instead of the 150 commands it is supposed to have. The fear is that now that the tool is out there, the bad guys will make defenses to protect themselves against it. But COFEE doesn't really do anything special. And if you're a serious bad guy, you're already employing safe computing practices anyway. It's more likely that pen testers and red teams will add COFEE to their arsenal of tools as yet another way through a company's defenses. We'll be back with more HNNCast right after these messages. Welcome back to HNNCast. So it's been a year since McColo was shut down. Are things any better? You remember McColo, the ISP that was accused of spewing spam, acting as botnet command and control, and otherwise allowing criminals to do their thing? Well, immediately after they were shut down a year ago, spam levels dropped dramatically, temporarily, and their Srisby, Mega-D, and Rustock botnets were pretty much disabled. But the bad guys have changed their tactics since McColo. Spam is now at an all-time high, and botnets are designed to protect themselves against a single ISP shutdown. Other ISPs besides McColo have also been taken down, including Intercage Atrivo and 3FN, forcing the bad guys into using Facebook, Twitter, and even Google Wave for command and control. Researchers are set to present a paper at the ACM conference in Chicago this week, detailing methods to circumvent the networking technology used by law enforcement wiretaps. It turns out that the phone companies develop a standard to comply with CALEA, the 1994 law that requires phone companies to provide wiretap capability to digital switches. The standard, ANSI Standard J/STD025, only sets aside 64K as the call data channel. 64K is fine under normal circumstances, but can be easily overwhelmed with a few dozen voice over IP calls. Of course, the researchers weren't really able to test this method in the real world, since as far as they knew, they weren't being wiretapped. And now Courtney brings us a story about the dangers of outsourcing and the possible impending legal ramifications. Courtney?